All right. Hello, traders. Sorry, I'm behind today. I was supposed to start at 3:10, and yeah, DJ, you're right. I had this thing going on here with TradingView. Uh, anyway, I solved the problem. So sorry about that, everyone. I was supposed to start a little earlier. I really appreciate your patience. Okay, so let's get this thing started as soon as possible. Hold on a second. All right, so obviously this is for educational purposes only. For investment advice, please consult the licensed investment advisor. Now, what I want to do here is here. Let me get my chart up so you guys can see me. All right, cool. Hold on a second. Let me get this thing on here. And now this thing wants to give me a hard time too. Oh no, here we go. All right, so there's my Bitcoin chart. And all right, cool. Here I am. All right, so here's the thing, everyone. So for those of you that are new to the stream, please share your symbol in the chat. I see a lot of symbols in here and some questions so I can get through them. What I want to talk about for the first maybe like 5 minutes is just Bitcoin. Of course, I have to go over the news first, economic calendar, Bitcoin, and then I want to touch on the stock market real quick. I want to try to make that whole process right there 10 minutes. And then I'm going to spend the rest of the time on your questions, okay? Because that's what the whole point is here. I want people to have perspective for the week. All right, so let me just say hi to everyone in the chat. We got Travel. Hey, Travel, good to see you. We got HS, we got DJ, Gabriel, XNT, David. All right, cool. Nice to see everyone. MZ. All right, Adrian. So let's first go over the economic calendar real quick. Okay, I'm going to run through it real quickly. You guys know which ones I'm looking at. So we have here. Let me just go through this. Today is the 12th. All right, so I'm not going to read those. We've had those. Let's go to the 13th. All right, so on 9 p.m. Eastern time, which is tomorrow. Okay, no, I'm sorry. Hold on. Let's start with the Consumer Price Index at 8:30 a.m. tomorrow Eastern time, Eastern Daylight Time. So that's Consumer Price Index. Not a big deal. New Zealand rate statement. That's at 9 p.m. Eastern time. Bank of New Zealand. Unless you're in that pair, I wouldn't worry too much about that. Now, on the 14th, which is what? Wednesday? At 12 p.m., we had Fed Chair Powell speech. So again, the market can get sluggish going into that. You need to at least be aware that the man is speaking. All right. He hasn't really said anything to really push the market one way or the other. He's just very he just plays nice. Okay, fine. But the thing is, the market can act very strange and erratic going into such a speech. So just something to keep in mind there. That's probably the most important piece of information for the week there. Okay, this Bank of Japan Governor Kuroda speech, that's also on the 14th at 2:15 a.m. Eastern Time. That may be important if you're in a yen pair. Now, we have on the 14th also, we have Australia unemployment rate. That's really not a big major market mover. Germany Harmonized Index of Consumer Prices, that's on the 15th at 2 a.m. Eastern Time. Again, not a big deal. Okay, and then also on the 15th, we have retail sales, all right, for the U.S., and that's at 8:30 a.m. That could be a market mover, but if it's going to affect anything, it's going to affect stocks. It's not really like a big dollar mover. Not really, not in recent time anyway. And then we have China, gross domestic product, retail sales. That's at 10 p.m. on the 15th. Okay, and then on the 16th, we have Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index. So not a big news week. There's no NFP, there's no FOMC meetings, but I do see the Fed chairman speaking. So that's something you want to at least keep an eye on. Okay, so let's move on. I want to talk now about, let's do Bitcoin. I have to touch on the stock market real quick, and then I'm going to get to all your questions. So again, please put the symbol in the channel that you'd like me to analyze, and I can get to that right away. Also, if it's an altcoin, just put USD after it or USDT, so I can make sure I'm analyzing the right symbol. All right, now, okay, so let's go through Bitcoin real quick. Now, as you can see on my chart here, we sent out a swing trade signal, or Andrew sent out a swing trade signal earlier today. It was an alternate trade, which means we're not taking that, right? Because we've been in the swing trade for quite some time now, and we're just letting it, let the market do its job, right? We're not reacting to anything. But here's the thing. I could see why he would send something like that out. We have the inside bar right there. Again, our swing trade strategy is based on a specific set of rules, okay? Now, that inside bar fits the rules, but the thing is, it's right inside of this reversal zone, okay? That's the reason why I would not take such a trade, but it doesn't mean that I will be right. This thing can break out, all right? It's trying to, but we're getting that bearish pin bar now, all right? So it really depends on how this thing closes and if it takes out those lows. If you get a sell signal in this area, I mean, if I was inclined to short Bitcoin, I'd be shorting it, okay? It'd be a very aggressive trade because it's counter trend. And again, just to be clear, we don't short Bitcoin, but if I was, inclined to do something like that, that's the type of signal I'd be looking for. So there's nothing for us to do here besides that. So if you're in that alternate trade, you have to decide how you want to manage that risk. If this thing starts taking out supports, I'm still waiting for 50K. Okay, so very simple. I'm just waiting for it. I'm not bearish on Bitcoin, but I just don't like the location. I wrote an article yesterday on TradingView about Ethereum, and right away I get a question, should I buy Ethereum up here? Did you read the article? So the point is, I'm not interested in buying in this area, okay? I want to see supports, and I'm waiting for supports, and I don't care if the market runs without me. The next inflection point is 66K. Can it get there? It can. This week, it can do it if it breaks out, but it's going to need a significant catalyst, and I'm not about to take that risk here and start chasing it. I want to see support, and that's that simple. Okay, so let me jump over to the stock market real quick. Again, any questions about Bitcoin, just put them in the chat and I'll get to them. Let's take a look at the S&P, because the S&P is what gets people's attention. It gets the attention on the news and all that stuff, and they start celebrating. It's up only 2 points today. This thing closes in 30 minutes. This market sucks, okay? Because it's barely moving. 2 points for the S&P for the whole day. I mean, that's pretty slow. All right. On top of that, the VIX is at like some significant lows. The VIX is the sentiment index, or it measures basically how many put options are being bought relative to calls. So obviously, it's saying that the market is very complacent. Usually, if you get a very, very low VIX reading, that's usually a sign of a top. Okay. But again, a top is not an event. It's not a single event. Just because the VIX is there doesn't mean the market's going to turn tomorrow. But the thing is, this is not a support. It's very clear. This is not a support. If anything, this is a potential peak. Now, I've been saying that for a while on this thing, but at highs, what else can it be? Can it be, is this a bottom? Is this a support? No, it's a potential peak. Now, it may climb a little higher, but I would not be heavily buying things up here. The risk is just too high. Okay, so I want to see it pull back to support before I do anything else, really. So we've been very slow with the swing trades for this reason. And I know people get impatient and they want action, but action doesn't make you money. All right, so I mean, I encourage you, go, find a chat room or whatever that delivers a lot of action, and let's see how you're doing a month from now, because action is not the solution. It's waiting for high probability. And for the swing trade strategy that we employ, that takes time. Sometimes it's just the way this market is right now. We can't fight the market. We have to accept it. Okay. So that's that right there. Now let's, so again, if you have any questions, just let me know, put them in the chat. Also in the TradingView chat, I don't see any questions. So I don't, maybe people can't hear me in there or what. I don't know what's going on over there. Usually I have lots of questions there, but anyway, hey, no problem. So let's now jump over to, that's it. I just want to talk about those two off the top of my head there, and let me just see where we are with time, because I want to make sure that I'm scheduling this right. Okay, so I'm under 10 minutes. All right, so let's start. I want to start answering questions now. Actually, no, you know what? Hold on. NASDAQ. I just want to point this out, and then I'm going to move over to the questions. Look at the NASDAQ. All right, now, again, it's at a potential double top, but it's early. People want to short this, and I understand why. All right, I mean, I want to short this too. And we are open to shorting something like the NASDAQ. I've tried a couple of times, and I've had to get out for losses each time. Now, we have this potential area right here, but the S&P needs to turn. If the S&P doesn't turn, this thing may just continue to climb. It's possible that we get the failed high up in this area. So if we see something like that, and I see the reversal, or I see the sell signal, I will be open to opening up another SQQQ, or something to capitalize on the short side of this market, looking for that broader pullback, okay? So that's the plan there. All right, let me jump over to the questions. Let me start answering questions now, because I'm going to have a lot of them here. So, all right, Travel, hey, good to see you. Let me ask you a question. Don't you find depressing, okay, hold on. Don't you find depressing that after all those years, some random fan who completely ignores any kind of knowledge can come up with stellar profits just by following some stupid popular Twitter mantras? Well, that's an interesting observation there, Travel, and that's a good question. Markets should punish ignorance and lack of method, shouldn't they? Not promote them, like BTC crypto market has been doing for years now. They may be crypto fanatics, but right after all, when they say, okay, that because Bitcoin price is supposed to always rise by design, having stock to flow and all that stupid mantra stuff. Okay, so that's an interesting question, Travel. So your question is, do I find it depressing or frustrating? Well, no. I mean, that's the irrational nature of the market, right? And that nature, that irrational nature of the market is the same reason that allows us to get in and out of positions, because it is people like this that, they hold on until Bitcoin starts pushing some ridiculously low number, like 3,000, which I don't think we're going to see that number. But, in this case, a ridiculously low number may be something like, 25,000 or something like that. And then you get these people that they're following their blah, 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 and it's the same people that are banging it out at the bottom. So I don't mind that irrational nature of the market. We need that, actually, in order for someone to let us in and out of our positions. If everyone knew what they were doing, and if everyone was like smart money, there'd be no money to be made because no one would be taking any trades, right? You need reactive money. You need the herd in order for the market to function in an efficient and in a way that makes it worthwhile for speculation. Okay, so great question. So HS, okay, cool. DJ, I've been in a penny stock trade for a long time. Just lunch money in it. RGBP. All right, let's take a look. RGBP. 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 All right, and over the TradingView, I don't see any questions in TradingView. There's something wrong with my TradingView feed. I don't see any questions in there. It looks like I'm streaming. I see some people in there, but no questions. Hey, TradingView people, let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, I spent all this time trying to set this thing up for TradingView. If no one's asking questions, why am I going to stream on TradingView? All right, so anyway, ask me questions. All right. Wow, DJ, RGBP. Man, what's the story with that? I guess some news, huh? It's a penny stock, biopharma. Okay, well, that explains it. So look at this. So when it comes out of nowhere like that, this is a great example, DJ. I'm glad you bring this up because this is a great example of a lottery ticket. This chart never would have told you that this was coming, okay? There's nothing on this chart. Let's just hide that for a minute, right? Nothing on this chart. Let's make this chart real big because this is all you knew over the previous couple of weeks, right? Now, DJ, how long have you been in this thing for? This chart is really, there's nothing here, right? There's really nothing to work with here. And you're not going to, there's no way to know that something like this is coming, right? So obviously that's news, unless you're an insider and you know some news, advanced news that no one else knows, then okay, then it's possible to position yourself for something like this. But other than that, this is a lottery ticket. It's some idea, you throw some money in it, see what happens, and then one day you take a look and you're like, wow, this thing's up 7,000%. Okay, so that's great. Look at that. I didn't even get the whole thing on my chart. This is unbelievable. So what do you do in this situation? Well, hopefully I know you, DJ, probably took something off the table. I don't have to tell you to do that. But if you're in something like this, it's just as far as a learning example. Hold on, I think I figured out what's wrong with TradingView here. I think I need to refresh the page there. Okay, hold on. No, maybe not. Okay, so like I was saying, you take something off the table when it goes vertical. But like I said, a chart's not going to help you get into something like this. So you take something off the table, and then what do? You let it ride, because there's no reason to sell really right now. You have this tail on the candle, but look at the candle, right? So you can't call that a pin bar. So what I would wait for, like, again, you take some profit off the table, and then what do? Let this thing ride until it finds the top and gives you a clear sell signal. This is not a sell signal. So sometimes, you give a decent portion back because the next candle is just as dramatic, but that's a chance you take. I mean, it's a lottery ticket type of trade anyway. So that really all just becomes about momentum management and just following some simple rules. In this case, you know, I like to do the manual trailing stop 2 bars behind, but that's just way too low on this thing, right? That's like what, that's like just over 1.5 cents, like right there. So in a situation like that, you jump to a smaller time frame, like a 4-hour chart. If I show you a 4-hour chart, 240, okay. Now look, you have the red candle, man, even on that, you can't even use it. So you have to go slightly smaller, right? So it's maybe a 2-hour chart. How about 120? Let's see. Man, this thing must have just jumped. But no, you have some more detail here. So now 2 bars back puts you at like 375, 0375, right? So that's what you have to do in a situation like that if you want to use a manual trailing stop, okay? So anyway, thank you for bringing that one up. And it's a very good lesson for people. Okay, as Drenkin, as Dreckham, sure, I'll answer that question. Thank you for asking. All right, so Gabriel, good to see you. XNT. Okay, David. So David's asking ETH and BTC follow-up. Okay, so now BTC, like I was saying, I said it right in the beginning there, I don't like the location. We have the bearish pin bar. I don't like it. I mean, not for a long anyway, but the pin bar hasn't closed. So one of the important rules that we follow is we wait for the close, right? See how that candle looks, because in the next couple of hours, this thing may push back at the high. I mean, anything can happen with Bitcoin, right? So if it closes strong, okay, cool, I'd give it a chance. If it closes the way it looks right now and it takes out that pin bar low, that's not good. Okay, that would be a sell signal. So at that point, if you're in a trade, you can either minimize your risk or reduce your risk by maybe getting out of more of the position, shrinking the position a bit, or getting out of the whole thing and just taking the loss. Okay. You know, because the risk that you run is this thing can run all the way back to 50K. Now, you know, he sent out a stop loss order with that, so you can also just wait till the market reaches that if you are willing to take that risk. But if the sell signal shows up in such a location, I personally would be willing to adjust that and take a smaller loss if I have to. I have no problem taking small losses. Okay, so that's Bitcoin again. Now Ethereum. Let's talk about Ethereum, especially since I put it in the title of the video, right? Hold on, where's my Ethereum chart? So Ethereum, now this is the chart that I used for the report that I wrote on TradingView yesterday, you know, for those that read it. And if you haven't read the report, just check it out on TradingView, because this is a great time to ask me questions about it, because you know, it's just hard for me to go on the forum there and answer all those questions. I'd rather answer them in real time for you. So here's Ethereum, all right? And here's the thing, just like Bitcoin, right? We see Bitcoin giving us that pin bar. Ethereum is giving us a doji in a very similar location, right? That's what this rectangle represents here. On top of that, you see these converging trend lines, right? That is not exactly a bullish structure, all right? It looks strong. Everyone's excited. In fact, the other night, right, on Friday, I was watching a Bitcoin or Ethereum watch party on YouTube. I was watching this watch party, and it was amazing. There were 5,000 live listeners listening to this person speak about it, and he wasn't really saying anything. They're just watching it. Like, it wasn't like he was giving, you know, trade information, or they were just watching. I couldn't believe that he had 5,000 people listening to that. Meanwhile, I give valuable analysis, and I can't even get 100 people to watch, you know? So, Travel, to go back to the question, I find that a little frustrating. But anyway, who cares about what I think? So, but here's the thing with Ethereum. The location is vulnerable, and this thing could pull back to 1,800, right? Just like Bitcoin can pull back to 50K. I would be interested in Ethereum around 1,800. That's the high probability location that aligns with my rules. Very simple. So if Ethereum does not want to align with my rules and it wants to keep running on its own euphoria and all the other hype and nonsense out there, that's fine. You can run without me. I don't care. I don't need you. Right? That's the way I look at it. I don't lose any money by watching the thing run away. There's nothing to be afraid of. I don't care if Ethereum goes to 5,000 tomorrow. If it doesn't fit my rules, I'm not in it. There's plenty of other opportunities out there. One thing you have to realize about any financial market, opportunities are unlimited. There's no such thing as a limit of opportunities. They're not frequent. They're infrequent, and good opportunities should be. But the thing is, there's more of them. So I don't care. Okay, so the thing is, the location, not attractive, all right? And I'd be, for those of you that are interested in shorts, This is a very aggressive area for taking a short. It is counter trend, and you do run that risk that, you know, this thing can just have that ridiculous move where it just keeps going. But again, we don't short these things, okay? But if you get that sell signal, hey, that's up to you if you're willing to take that risk and you're nimble enough and you can give it enough attention to manage it properly. You can't get short and just hope. That's usually not a good idea. All right, so thanks for asking about that, David. I'm on an aggressive BTC trade, 60. Okay, right. So so I answered that question. Okay, cool. All right, so let me jump over to the other chat here real quick because I have some questions. CHWY. All right, let's take a look. CHWY. Let me see what we have here. Chewy. So, all right, interesting chart. Let's take a look at a few things. I see the trend is bullish, right? The broader trend, right? Nice structure there. Recently, it's pulled back into this, you know, you have that bearish momentum, that corrective move. It's pulled into a potential support area. Let's see. So this was a support back here, and it's gone below that, but it's found some stability in this area here. Okay, not bad. Also, you have this old resistance back here. So that is all, you know, those are where your levels are, okay, as far as support and potential resistance, because this previous support that was broken at 88.37, or basically 88 and a quarter, that is now a resistance, right? And your next resistance is up in this area here at 109, basically 110. A lot of times it just makes sense to round to the whole numbers. So here's the thing. Those are some levels to look at. The broader trend is still bullish, but this thing has got some bearish structure that it is dealing with. All right. So in this situation, right now, you're in the middle of this little mini range, right? You're basically in the middle of it. I wouldn't buy this here because you're near the range high. Your risk is not as attractive. Your reward risk is not as attractive here. In this situation for Chewy, you're better off waiting for the range low. And it's possible, it's very within reason to test the range low because this area right here may be considered a lower high. You have a bearish candle here, a bearish doji. If it takes out that doji low at 82.65, it's very reasonable to test the range low, okay? Or slightly lower. So in light of the stock market situation, I bring up the stock market a lot. Now, again, I don't know how well this correlates with the S&P, but look, different stocks have different correlation levels, and that's not like the key driving factor here. What I'm looking at is if the S&P pulls back, like significantly, and takes the whole market with it, some of these stocks are going to react more dramatically than others. But the point is, the S&P is pushing all-time highs. These stocks are struggling. This is a struggle right here. Why isn't this thing doing better in such an optimistic and you know, euphoric environment? So if there's a more pessimistic environment that unfolds, where's this thing going to go, right? That's called relative strength or relative weakness. That's what concerns me about something like this, even if it goes back to the support. So you have to keep an eye on that S&P. We have that same situation in the electric vehicle sector, where all these electric vehicle stocks, they're at great locations to buy. The problem is the S&P is at all-time highs. So, you know, in a very bearish environment, those weaker stocks are probably going to feel some pain. So why bother? You know, why bother? I want to see the S&P find a support, and then I want to see those stocks stop breaking supports or sitting at a support. I'd be much more comfortable with the idea of buying into that. Okay, so Chewy, that's the situation with Chewy. I would wait for the range low at, you know, around 70, mid 70s, and then watch that S&P. If the S&P is still pushing highs and this thing's at the range low, I would wait. I would wait until that S&P pulls back before doing anything else. Okay, so thanks for asking. All right, so let me answer one more over here before I jump over to the other chat. Don't slam the door. I like your name, Don't Slam the Door. I have some experience with that situation. I bought Alibaba 2 weeks ago and have been waiting for it to come back, okay? What indicators can you see if, okay. No, I'm here, don't slam the door. I'm here to talk about any market you want to see. So if you have a stock, if you have a currency, whatever it is, just let me know. All I ask is that if it's a coin, just put USD so I don't speak about the wrong symbol. So let's take a look at Alibaba. That's Baba, all right, B-A-B-A. And okay, so look, nice pop today. Very interesting. let's go back. Now I've been keeping an eye on some of these stocks. These are going to be very sensitive to news and economic stuff, especially, you know, because of the China relationship and all that. So here's the thing. The general trend is bullish, right? I mean, we can't argue with all this price action leading to that peak. But recent structure is mixed, all right? This is not as bullish. You have the lower high over here, up in this area right here, which is going to be a inflection point for you. But now going to the current low, I like this area, right? The lows. I don't know where you're long from. Maybe you want to share that. I don't know. But this low over here, 222 area, that's your support. And obviously it's proven. So you're in it. That's great. There's nothing to do here. You have this nice gap. I would look for this momentum to continue. All right. Now, the S&P, again, is not in a favorable position for you. But if the S&P just continues higher or the NASDAQ can manage to hold, at least you have those factors in your favor. In this situation, I'd be looking for this momentum to continue through the middle of the range, because that's where you are right now. So you have some points to consider, right? The middle of the range, it can turn there, but it's a 50-50 area, 250-120. If you get hesitation there, that may be a good place to reduce some. You know, whether it's for a small loss or whatever it is, it's probably a good idea to reduce some risk in that area, because again, it can turn. There's just no, you know, there's really no advantage to getting in at such an area. Now, if it goes up into this area, right, which is what, 274 area, that's the ideal place to be reducing. Now, you asked about 300. 300 is all the way up here. Man, I hope you're not long from up there, because you have a lot of obstacles along the way, right? This 274 area, that's where if I got long at 222, if I just so happen, of course I could say this after the fact, but if I was long from somewhere in that area, I would be looking at that as like a home run, 274. So that means I'd be reducing my risk all in this area right here between 250 and 274, right? That's where I would be unloading, because a lot of other people are going to be thinking the same thing. That's what you have to keep in mind, especially people that have been stuck in this thing. So if you're going to hope mode, right, that's where I hope it goes back to 300. But that's a stretch for this thing, and a lower probability in light of where the S&P is, right? If that S&P fails, which it's very likely to do over the next few weeks, I mean, I could be wrong, but it's in a very vulnerable area. Where is this thing going to go, right? It's going to take a lot for this thing to get back up there. So in your situation, if you're long from 300, I would definitely be trying to reduce risk in these areas and just see how it goes. At this moment, I mean, there's no reason to do anything at this moment. Just let it ride, because there's no sell signal. But these are the points, like that area that I told you about, 250 to 274. That's your area where you should be looking to reduce risk and, you know, be very cognizant of any sell signal that appears. And then if you can hold on to some, perhaps it gives you a higher low along the way, and whatever you get out of, you can add back at that point. But right now, you can't make those kind of decisions because the market needs to prove itself. All right, so thanks for asking about BABA. Great question. All right, let me move on here. So let's go back to my other chat. All right, I'm just going through the chat here. Again, I appreciate your patience, everyone. You know, I'm just running a little slow today. So, okay, let me just go back. Okay, here's one. MZ, can you check ARWR CINFF stocks for swing trade? Okay, ARWR, let's take a look. All right, so Arrowhead Pharmaceuticals. All right, interesting. So it's a pharma. You know, these pharmaceutical stocks, you know, they're going to be more sensitive to news and stuff like that. Nice broader structure. I like this. This is bullish. This whole structure going all the way back to like July low there. And here you are. You have this nice pullback structure. Okay, very nice. I like that. Corrected that, you know, that recent high, so you're not buying at the highs. More recently, you have some stability developing. Okay, I like that too. So you have this failed low situation here at what, 60 and a half. And here you are again today, fooling around in that same area, and you have a nice little buying candle in that area, which is following a little. That's not exactly a pin bar, but it's kind of the same idea. The tail is too small, but still, it's kind of the same idea. So you have this situation. I would agree for a swing trade. Yeah, I would agree. Let's look at the risk, right? Because remember, risk first. So if you buy this thing right now, your risk, you're looking at 60.78. So you figure 60 and a half, and you're at 62.74. You're looking at least $2, $2.50 of risk, something like that, okay? And so what is your potential reward? Well, let's look at some levels here. You have that level right there. You have this level right here. And then you have this level up in this area right here, right? Those are potential inflection points where you can measure your reward from. So if this thing breaks and you know, you buy this thing now, or really the right thing to do, at least with the strategy that I follow, I would wait for the close and see if it takes out today's high tomorrow. 62.85 is today's high. So if it's higher than that tomorrow, hey, that would be a technical buy signal. But you know, it looks, we have what, 6 minutes before the market closes. It looks pretty good, right? It's not bad. So that would be more aggressive to get in now. My point is, you're risking about $2.50, and your first target is at 69.38. So that's a good 7 points, right? Maybe 6.5 to 7 points. That's 3 times your risk at the first target. That's not bad. That is definitely a good candidate for a swing trade. ARWR. I may have to steal this for trade of the week. I don't know. We'll see. But I definitely like the setup. Thank you for bringing that one up. And then you have these other 2 potential targets. Now, again, with something like this, you know, is this going to be highly correlated to the S&P? Usually these pharma stocks are, a lot of them will do their own thing because, like I said, they're very sensitive to news. So for that reason, I'd even be a little even more interested because, you know, whether the S&P pulls back or this and that, or whatever, this thing is probably going to be less sensitive to it. Unless there's a really, really dramatic, like, you know, you see S&P pulls back 100 points in one day, then this thing will probably feel some of that. I mean, most stocks will. So I like it, though. So definitely a good one for a swing trade. I like the reward risk, ARWR. Let me see what the other one you asked about. Let me see here, MZ. CINF. Let's take a look. CINF. That's one of the great values of doing this stream. I mean, we have many people looking at many different stocks or coins, and because I can't watch them all, and they bring up some opportunities. I never would have found ARWR, right? I mean, I don't, you know, maybe it would have popped up on a scanner or something, but I don't, you know, I'm not sitting here all day watching a scanner. So thank you for bringing that one up. That's what I said. That's one of the nice things about having, you know, a group of people coming together like this, asking questions, you know, because this is how you can find some opportunities that you may not have otherwise found. So here's Cincinnati Financial Corp. Okay. So general trend is bullish. I like that. I like this tight consolidation. Okay. Definitely like that. That's usually a continuation pattern. You have the range low right here at 102.18. Now, as far as a swing trade goes, all right, if you want to really get conservative with this, you're in the middle of this range. So this isn't the best price, all right, to be buying this thing. Now, but the question is, do you always have to get the best price? You don't always have to get the best price. But the question is, well, what kind of risk are you taking if you buy it around these prices? And what kind of potential reward are you looking at? You always must ask that question of every trade you're considering. So the risk you're taking, you're looking at 102.18. You're buying this thing potentially at 106.25. So you're looking at about 4 points of risk if you buy this thing there right now. It's a little high, okay? But the question is, what's the potential? Now, just going back, I want to just see some historical price action because we can get some interesting clues from that. Markets do have a memory. And you can get some inflection points by just going back and seeing how the market behaved historically in these areas, if it has been there before. So I see some inflection points right there, right, without having to do any projections or anything. So you're looking at one potential resistance, which it sort of reacted off of, you know, not too long ago, a few weeks back at 110. And then you're looking at like 115. So 110 is a reasonable target. You're risking 4 to try to make 4 okay. That would be a higher high, and that is in line with the broader trend. And if it can clear that, you're looking at, you know, 115, which is like 9 points. So that's almost, you know, that's a little more than 2 to 1. So okay, you know what? that, I mean, that's a good reward risk. What I don't like is the current price relative to the structure that it's in. So that's going to, taking something like this is really going to be a discretionary thing. It's going to be up to you if you're willing to risk that 4-point, pullback. I personally, I like to see the range low tested. I like to see that double bottom because just naturally probability is just more favorable in such an area. Now, like sometimes you'll see a situation like this, you have the higher low in place and the stock is not going to pull back. It's not going to pull back to that and not give you that opportunity. So that's the trade-off, right? You buy it now, you're going to take more risk, or if you're like, well, that's too much risk for me, then see if the market delivers the second opportunity. It doesn't always do it, but when it does, hey, great. You just saved yourself a nice amount of risk and you're getting it at a higher potential price. So you have to decide on that part on your own. But this isn't a bad idea, okay? It's not a bad idea. It's just, it could be, it's a little aggressive. I'll call it that. Okay, so thanks for bringing that one up. Let me jump over to the other one here. Before I get too many questions, how am I doing with time? I'm trying to, I want to spend more of my time here on people's questions. Okay, not too bad. All right, so let's see what I have here. Going back. John, if you can accept the small tech tip, you can set a different time frame in your chart also with letters. You don't necessarily have to set a time frame in minutes. Oh, so TF just, oh, okay, that's good to know. That's good to know, John. I didn't know that. Or you could type in 1W for a weekly time frame. Well, John, sometimes, like if I wanted the weekly, I would just type in W. But, that's good to know. Thank you for sharing that. Other people can benefit from that as well. Okay, Jose. Okay, let's say BTC goes to 52K support level, as you mentioned earlier. Would you long BTC at those prices? I mean, that kind of move would probably break structures of higher lows. Okay, so Jose, that's a very good question. Let me just jump back to Bitcoin there. And so if it retests that 52K area here, right, 50 to 52, that's the support zone here. I'm very interested in buying it there, but I won't just step in front of it, okay? I want to see price confirm. So yeah, it'll break some supports, right? It'll break this one over here, and it's going to get all the bears all excited, and all the, self-appointed authorities and gurus and blah, blah, blah. You know how it goes. Everyone overreacts. Meanwhile, the real support is around 50K. So if it can do that, I just want to see some sort of confirmation. I would like to see a candle reversal. Just so we have a bearish pin bar developing here, I want to see a bullish pin bar around 50K. I want to see an inside bar. I want to see something that tells me that it's not just going to break that support and keep going. So I don't care about these little minor supports in the middle of the range. These are minor. They're in the middle of the range. They don't mean anything for the bigger picture. They keep overlapping each other. Okay, the key level right now is 50 to 52K, that zone. So that's how I would treat that. All right, I wait for that, wait for confirmation. If everything lines up, then that's when I look to send out a swing trade and get involved in this thing. That's when I'm prompted. That's the word I was looking for. Prompted to send out a swing trade. All right, otherwise, everything is just a bunch of random noise to me. So thanks for asking that question. All right, or 2H instead of 120. Okay, yeah, no problem, John. I appreciate that. Again, that's very useful information for others who are using TradingView. All right, I have recently watched a video comparing the NASDAQ chart from inception to a total crypto market and claiming we are stepping into a 10, 20-year bull market. Uh-oh. Not that there won't be retraces, but just saying minor retraces with major legs higher. What's your take on this? Good question, Spa. Good question. So he watched a video comparing NASDAQ chart from inception to the total crypto market. And we're stepping into a 10 to 20-year bull market. When you see overly optimistic, that's overly optimistic. Okay, we've been in a bull market for 10 years now. Okay, just going back. Let's just go back to I don't know if actually I can show it on that chart. Let me see if we look at like the QQQ. Okay. And we go in here, let me use John's technique here, right? And I go to QQQ, but I have to type in just 1W, right? Weekly chart on QQQ. And let's just zoom this thing back, right? Here, hold on a second. Let me pull this thing up here, right? And let's just go back. Let's go all the way back. I mean, Does this look like a young bull market to you? The bottom of this market was 2009, right? So now they're saying we're stepping into a 10 to 20-year bull market now? That's my take on it. No, this is the top of a bull market that's been in progress since 2009. Now, again, doesn't mean that a bear market is next. That's what you need to understand. Markets are not binary. It's not like, oh, if we're not bull, we must be bear. No. What we can see is a consolidation and a persistent one that may go on for a year or two. It's possible. I've seen markets like that where you don't know what is going on. But it can't, like, going back to, like, I mean, look at 2019, right? 2018, 2019. That's sort of a pullback, right? Everyone looking for a bear market, blah, 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 blah. And no. When you go back further, look at 2016. Look at these. These are all weeks, right? So you could get these consolidations. And maybe that consolidation will follow some sort of more dramatic pullback, right? And that's what we're looking for, which is not the same as a bear market. So if this thing gives back a good portion, like on the NASDAQ, for example, if you're looking at this thing, the Q's pulling back to something like, the low 200s, people are going to be really uncomfortable in that situation. And everyone's going to be calling for a bear market when really all we're looking at is a healthy corrective move, a very healthy one, but still it's just a corrective move. So I don't agree that we're starting a 10 to 20 year bull market. I think that's just a lot of hype and someone looking for attention. I see lots of that. When I ever see like stuff that's overly optimistic, especially if it's like public information, I'm a contrarian. I think the opposite. Okay, and there's a reason for that, because everyone feels the safest and everyone feels the most complacent at a market top, not at the market bottom. Where was this guy at? When the NASDAQ pulled back a year ago, and we had the March lows. Where was this guy then? Why wasn't he saying, oh, this is the start of a blah, blah, blah? Where was he? He wasn't there, was he? He comes out now with this nonsense now? That bothers me, because it's like, where were you a year ago, dude? Right? So that's what I think of that. I don't mean to get excited. Sorry. All right. So good question. Let me jump over to the other chat here. Okay. So, and that, by the way, that goes for all these alt people, there's so many altcoin videos out there, right? And they're saying all this optimistic stuff and blah, 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 blah. Where were these guys back in July when all these altcoins were doing nothing? Where were they? Why are they all coming out now and telling me that Cardano is going to double or triple or quadruple in the next month? Or where were these guys? So just something to keep in mind. It's all herd mentality, and you need to put it into perspective, okay? So thank you for asking that question. All right, let me jump over here. Let's see what we got. Adrian, okay, good to see you. Jay, hey, good to see you. Monica, all right, IPO of Coinbase on Wednesday. Maybe the catalyst. Okay, Monica, good question, or good observation. Obviously, I can't pull up a chart of Coinbase, but I wouldn't. Coinbase IPOing, I don't think it's going to have much of an effect on Bitcoin, really. I mean, Bitcoin probably has that priced in here. Let me go back to my other chart, and let's go back to BTC. That's probably priced in. I mean, and I don't see why Coinbase going public would really have much of an effect at all. They're just an exchange, right? And so now you can buy, shares of Coinbase, which is probably going to be highly correlated to Bitcoin. And now you can read all their financial reports. By the way, I watched a video about their financial reports, and man, they're making a lot of money. But the point is, I wouldn't look at that as a catalyst for Bitcoin moving or the space moving. I don't see how that would be a connection. Okay, so, but thank you for mentioning that, because there are probably many people out there that will be thinking that like, oh, Coinbase come out, that should be good for Bitcoin. No, not really. Coinbase is available now, just not as a stock, but you can go there and buy Bitcoin and this and that. So now you can just buy shares of Coinbase. Great for Coinbase, but I just don't see how that's great for Bitcoin. Okay, so thanks for mentioning that. All right, AIA, Hong Kong Insurance, ticker 1299. All right, let's see if I could find that. AIA. We got Jay with his exotic stocks here. Let me see here. Here's 1299. Okay, on the Hong Kong index. So let's take a look at that. Interesting. So he says it's a insurance company. All right. So broader trend bullish. All right. I like that. That's very easy to see. Recent price action consolidation. Okay. That's cool. I like that. Broad higher low situation. So that's bullish, right? Looking for a continuation pattern. I like these. The range low would be the area I'd be looking for. Now look at this price action here. This is a great lesson for everyone. Okay. Look at this price action, and that's why, like when we looked at that CINF before, it was kind of doing something like this. This is why I don't like buying into those initial reactive jumps. You know, this jump when it looks like this, like, oh, this thing's going, it's going, and then it's not going, right? So in this situation, I would be waiting for the range low, right? Because now you have these bearish candles, that's nice. The range low is 93.30. So in that area, if price can revisit that area, that's where I'd be looking for the reversal, okay? And if it can hold that area and reverse again, that's where your reward risk is most attractive. Or even if it goes slightly lower, which would be like, what, the 92s, like this area right here, that would be a failed low, because that's where a lot of people bang out of their shares. That's just human nature, right? They bang it out there, and that's the bottom a lot of times, and it reverses right there. So I'd be looking for something like that in that area. That's where your reward risk is the most attractive. And then I'd be looking for that general support area to hold. If it can hold, right, then you're in from a great price, and then I'd be looking for a constructive leg to start working its way back through this consolidation. So if you get it at such an attractive level, your first inflection point that's within reason is the middle of the range, okay, which, as you can see, it came off of that area just 2 days ago or yesterday or whatever, right, Friday. So, and that's around 90, that's around 100, a whole number, that makes sense. So that would be one potential target. And then of course you'd be looking up at this area here, which is 105, right? Those are your range highs. That's where you want to be reducing risk. And then since the broader trend is bullish, you should try to hold on to some to see if it can break out and start pushing highs, because in theory, that's what it should do, right? If it's going to stay strong. So at least you have good reward risk, and you have some opportunities to lock in profits and reduce risk without it having to break out. Okay, so thanks for asking that, Jay. Let's see what else we got. Anna. Hey, Anna. Oh, you're back in Germany? Oh, okay, cool. She was in Sicily the other day. Man, she's like all over the place. So IIVI. All right, let's take a look. Henry mentioned this one. IIVI when as an alternate to trade of the week. Wow, that's done pretty good since Henry mentioned it around here, and it's up higher, right? So let's see, 76.05. This thing is now at 80.05. All right, well, you can't touch this thing now. You know, if you didn't get it on Tuesday, that's when he mentioned it, I would leave it alone now. You're right in the middle of the range. I mean, the general, this is, look, IIVI is a semi. It's related to the semiconductor sector. So if the market stays strong and just continues to persist higher, because remember, we have earnings coming out, what, like in a week or so, or whatever, we're going to start seeing earnings reports again. That could be a catalyst for things, whether this market's going to turn ugly or if it's just going to persistently keep that grind higher going, right? The earnings could be a catalyst in that. Now, so if the market keeps with that grind, you can see some higher prices, but the risk is just too high here. I wouldn't take the risk now. I would wait for a pullback. All right, so I'll tell you the levels, right? An extreme pullback would be around these lows, which is around, what, 66.5 area? And a not so extreme pullback would be around here, right? The higher low, which would be around 74.5 area, right? That area there. Now, this is a good example. Now, remember those electric vehicle stocks and some of those other stocks we looked at, which were pushing their support? I think someone mentioned one of these in here. It may have been ARWR or one of them. I forget what stock it was. But my point is, if this thing, this is what your stock should be doing now in light of what the market is doing, right? S&P is on its highs. NASDAQ is trying to get back to its highs, almost there. Your stock should be showing this. It should not be pushing its low or sitting at support. So even though I wouldn't buy this, if I was in it, I'd be like, all right, you know what? I mean, it's doing what it should be doing. Let it ride, right? So anyway, but you're not in it. I'd be looking for that support level, that 74 area, or if it wants to go to extreme, I'd be looking for that area. And of course, confirmation. Those would be the higher, lower risk, higher reward locations. And then of course, I'd want to see follow through. I'd be expecting the market to be looking in I'd be expecting the market to be doing a similar thing since this is a semiconductor, okay? And the NASDAQ should be a good guide for you. So thanks for bringing that one up. All right, cool. All right, so I'm just getting through the chat here. Monica's asking about looking at Plug and what was this other one here? Plug and BNGO. Oh, BNGO. I haven't looked at that one in a while. Let me take a look. All right, so let me jump to those, and I'm going to jump back to TradingView. Everyone, I appreciate your patience because I have lots of questions, and I'm just trying to get through them as best as I can. I know I usually don't get to them all, but I'm going to try to get to as many as I can. All right, so let's take a look here at, let's start with, what was that one first one she wanted to see? Plug. So Plug is one of those clean energy or whatever, energy stocks, whatever they do. And so here, great example of what I just talked about, okay? Plug FCell also has another one of these type of stocks is in a similar situation. They're pushing their lows, okay? They're pushing their supports while the NASDAQ is on its highs. Now, I like this location on Plug, all right? And just like FCell, I talked about that earlier today. And 3074, right? This thing right now is at 2966. This is a potential failed low area. It's just the candle is not cooperating, right? I don't want to see that kind of candle and buy into that. I'd prefer more confirmation. Now, does that mean you can't buy into that? No, it doesn't mean that. It's just you're buying into that bearish momentum and you're taking more risk because if it just keeps going, it could have been something that you may have been able to avoid by just waiting for a confirmation. Now, of course, confirmation means you're going to get a worse price, but at least the market is likely going your way. Okay, or more likely. So I like the locations, like I said, but what bothers me about these stocks is S&P on highs, these are on lows. That's a sign of relative weakness. So I have to wonder if S&P pulls back, which it has not done in a long time, right? I know because we've been short a couple of things. What is this going to do when it does pull back? So I don't like this situation. I'd rather see the S&P pull back and then this thing just consolidate around where it is right now. Then that would tell me it's firming up and I'd be much more interested in the long. So remember, when you're looking at a stock chart, you can't look at the chart in isolation. You do have to consider context, which are other factors. Like in this case, I like to use the S&P as a gauge or as a guide to help me get a sense of context, right? So thank you for bringing that up. You can also look at other stocks in the sector, but they all pretty much look the same, right? FCell is the same situation, okay? Look at FCell, same idea, same exact situation. So that's why I like them, but I'm going to wait, right? I'm not going to send out anything on those. So thank you for bringing that one up. Now, she also asked about BNGO. This one was like a wild day trade stock not too long ago. I remember seeing this one pop up on a radar. And now look, it's just been garbage ever since, right? It had that wild, all the wild, everyone's having a party, everyone's making, thousands of dollars a day, and you can too, right? And then it gives it all back. Okay, fine. And so generally, look, this trend is still bullish, we can argue. You're in this corrective move, right? This consolidation. Okay, and now you're testing this low area, which is around, what is this low here? 694. So you're looking at like maybe the mid sixes, something like that, where the stock should find support. But again, you got this red candle close. I'm not too crazy about that, but I like the location. Now you're fighting a lower high, which we've seen this in a few different stocks, right? You're fighting that situation. So I would wait for this thing again to at least give that bullish reversal. And I really would like to see the stock market in a better location, for these. Now, again, these may not, Banano Genomics, obviously it's like a biotech type of stock, so it's going to be more sensitive to news. But I prefer that the stock market is at least at a minor support or something, right? Not on the highs. So that's why I hesitate on these. Okay, now I could be wrong. Maybe some news comes out tomorrow and you get a big green candle, but that's what the chart is telling me right now, that these things are sitting on lows and I'm seeing that relative weakness. So I would just keep them on the radar and wait until stocks start to be, waiting for the indices to be a little more cooperative, okay, in terms of reward risk. So thank you for asking that question on Plug and BNGO. Now let me jump over to another one here. DJ, I see what you were saying. In it since wow, DJ. That was a crazy one that we started out with before. Nice trade, DJ. You should have told us about that one. But no, I know, I understand. You know, we can't share them all. And it's probably high risk anyway. So, okay, I'm just going back to TradingView here. Let me see, I'm just running through the chart. Okay, so I answered that one. XRP. John wants to know about XRP. All right, let's take a look. XRP, USD. So this one's been a little ridiculous recently, right? Running on this news, they had a lot less. The news that came out recently was a lot better than expected. And so you had this breakout. Now look, these breakout trades, here's the thing with them. You look at them after the fact. Like, man, you know, if I had just bought that breakout right here, I'd be up so much money. But why did I listen to this dumb bald guy? He told me not to buy it, right? And now look at this thing. Well, here's the thing. So the risk is high, right? You don't know when it's going to follow through. That's the problem with the breakout. What if you had bought it back here? And I got the breakout, and then it pulls all the way back and you give back half your value, right? You have that random nature of the breakout that is very difficult. Now, if you're on top of it and you want to try the breakout and it fails on you right away, hey, get out, take the loss. But most people don't take the loss. They just go into hope mode. Oh yeah, it'll come back, right? And then you get stuck in these situations. And of course, when you do bang it out, it's like the worst price. So I just wanted to address that because after the fact, it looks easy, but this is not easy at all. And in fact, what it does is it reinforces these ineffective behaviors that are more costly over time. So anyway, let's talk about where XRP is now. So you had this consolidation here, and Shashank, by the way, was he always asks me about XRP. He asked me about 1 million times about this before the breakout, and hopefully he's still in it. But here's the thing: when it consolidates like this is your chance to at least try to get into a continuation pattern. All right, again, not really my style with these. You're taking a lot of risk, and these things tend to be very erratic. So let's get to where it is now. So you have this bearish pin bar that's established right here. Okay, let me get rid of this large box to make it a little easier on the eye. And we got this bearish pin bar. That's not what I want to see if I had just got into this thing, because that's a sell setup. If we take out the low, which is $1.30, basically $1.30 and a half, if it takes that out, then you're looking at a sell signal. Now, it doesn't mean that it will sell off very much. These things are in ridiculous mode, right? There's a lot of euphoria here, and it may just keep inching higher. The way to play this, in my opinion, when it's this high, well, I wouldn't touch it here. At least wait for some sort of test of $1.10. That's your nearest minor support, this area right here. All right, maybe it tests that and gives you a little bit of a better price, and then reverses, right? Improves, it establishes a higher low and gives you at least a little bit of a better price, and at least more of a probability that it goes your way and that the trend continues. But you know how these things go, a lot of them, right? They start pulling back, they break the support, and then they just turn to garbage for a month or two, right? So, you know, there's no way to predict if it's going to act that way. All I can tell you is this is just a very high risk area to buy it. I don't buy highs. Even if with the bullish candle at the moment inside bar situation, it's still at a high and it's still after a bearish pin bar. So let me just show you an example of some stocks, some coins that have been, like, you know, on everyone's radar and very popular. Let me see, this is a good example. Link. Well, so look at Link. Link is not the best example. Maybe I can show you a better one because this thing's back at the range high. But what I want to show you is the example that I want to make is this, right? Your stock, your coin looks great, right? It looks like this by the time you get into it. Maybe it pulls back a little bit, right? You buy it. Oh, I got the pullback. All right, cool. I got the pullback. Oh, it's going higher. Right. Yeah, cool. Uh-oh. Bearish pin bar. All right, whatever. Who cares? That doesn't mean anything anyway. Oh, man, this thing pulled back. This thing sucks. But it'll come back. It'll come back, right? And it starts to just gyrate, right? It goes into this consolidation. See that? So that is a very typical thing with a lot of these. Now, Link, of course, is trying to come back. We actually had that swing. You saw that trade information, right? The swing trade right there. That actually got stopped out, all right? Inside of this consolidation, it got stopped out like over here, right? After reaching its first target, it got stopped out. So that's what I mean. Why not wait for the consolidations? right? Because one is likely to come. You just don't know when. You just wait for it. And then when it starts to push those lows, that's when you should consider taking risk. When all the people that bought at the high are losing their confidence or getting margined out of the account. That's how it works. All right, so that was XRP. All right, so that answers two questions right there. XML against the euro. So XML, EUR. Let me see. Wait, no, hold on. Is that XML or XLM? XML, UR. I know these symbols are all like the same. Maybe you mean XLM, right? Which is stellar lumens against the euro. So here we go, right? Look at this situation. We know stellar lumens has been, with this bullish trend. Now again, perfect example of the high, right? The peak to the consolidation, right? Getting people all nervous because they bought at the high, blah, 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 bang it out, and now here it is starting to push highs again. So in this situation, here we go. We have this bearish pin bar, right, in place. Even though if the candle isn't red, that tail is very long. The pin bar is about the tail, not the open to the close. So the open to the close doesn't matter if it's red or green. It's that long tail that is a sign of people selling. So that's a failed high because it's not a lot higher than this high over here. See this? It's not much higher than that. So this is a really bad area to be long. All right, I would not want to be long here. Wait for the pullback. Your next support in this thing on stellar lumens against the euro, I'll tell you where the supports are. You have a support over here at, what is this price here? You're looking at 36, about 36.74, 0.3674 euros. That's one area. And then you have this area right here, which is a little more minor, which is around 42.63-ish, around there, right? So if you're looking for a long, those are the places to consider. And you have to monitor the price action if it can get there. Remember, you don't just step in front of these things because a level alone can be very random, right? So you want to see some sort of confirmation. You don't want to be the only one buying there. That's why you can't just like set a limit order and just walk away, because otherwise this would be very easy, right? But you can't do that because of that randomness. All right, so good questions. Let me jump back to the other one here. DJ, okay, answered that. Mel, okay, no problem. Mel, I've been slow today too. So I say Kavi, can you please have a look at DOT? All right, DOT. Let's take a look. Polka dot, DOT, USDT. Now this one's been a little interesting as well. We had a swing trade in this one. It broke out of the consolidation, right? Now, this is another, going back to one of the points I made earlier. Again, you can learn a lot from a chart like this when it comes to taking high-risk trades. What if you bought this breakout right there, and then you bought this breakout over here? Those breakouts didn't work very well, right? But we can only see that after the fact. Now, we look at XRP, which one of them worked, and you're like, oh, yeah, right, breakout, I like that. Now, this one worked over here. But what if you took these two, you lost money, right? You lost some money here, you lost some money here. And then it goes over here again. You're like, I'm not going to get fooled the third time, right? So you don't take it. And then that breaks out. Anyway, so you don't know. It's the random nature. Now, what you don't realize also about these failed breakouts here is they don't only cost you money, if you don't get out right away especially, but they cost you confidence. Because now you're not going to believe the market when it gets there again. You're, no, I got fooled 2 times. It's not going to fool me again, and it breaks. Right? That's random. It's nothing personal. It's just random. So just something to keep in mind there. Now, let's talk about where DOT is right now. So this old resistance at $40 should be acting as a support, and it is. This low over here is 37.69. So it's trying to find support in an area where it should be finding support. All right. You have this potential bullish pin bar developing. So I would call this an aggressive, it would be an aggressive swing trade setting up, okay? I'm not a big fan of these things because of the way these altcoins, some of these altcoins, they don't behave very well, okay? They're very noisy. So taking something like this, if you take this on the break of 41.76, a little high, maybe 42 even, something like that, right? You take that as a long. Your risk is going to be defined not by these pin bar lows. It's going to have to be the structural low, which is here at 37.69, because the pin bar lows are too tight, right? And it can easily tap you out of those. So you have to look at that pin bar low, the initial low, the structural low over here. You're looking at about 5 points, something like that. Let me see, what's the high here? 40, yeah, so you're looking at around 5 points of risk, which is a lot for DOT. Especially since the first high on this thing that you're looking at, the first resistance after that buy was around 46. So your first target is about 4 points, but you have to risk 5 to hope to get there. That's not very attractive. That's why I don't bother with these, okay? Now, it could break and keep going, but you know, I want the initial reward risk to be favorable. I don't want to have to hope that, well, you know, it should keep going, and I just rather not. Okay, there's many other opportunities out there that are in a much better position. So anyway, that's the situation with DOT. Generally long, if it takes out that support and starts going into this range low, this would be a much more attractive area to be buying DOT, and that's in the low 30s. Okay, that would be a much more attractive area. All right, so just something to keep in mind there. Remember, they're an Ethereum competitor. And I don't know how you compete with Ethereum. Even if you do it better, Ethereum has just got much more, better reach and much more popular. So I don't know, but that's just an irrelevant opinion. So anyway, thanks for asking about that. Okay, DJ, AI long, a starter position, AI. All right, let's take a look at AI. Starter, ooh, okay, so C3 AI Incorporated. Look at this thing. So I like the location, okay? So DJ is asking about a starter position. All right, I wouldn't disagree with that, DJ. You're fighting a lot here. I mean, this right here, that is a bearish trend. Why is that a bearish trend? Because you've taken out these supports, right? When it was trying to be bullish, you blew through those supports, right? So that's not what a bullish trend does. So now you're fighting a bearish trend, and you have a lower high over here, and you have a lower high over here. So it may double bottom, but I would wait for more confirmation. I'd just be more conservative. If you want to go in small, like you said, a starter, so instead of buying 100 shares, I mean, what's this thing, $59, $60? So instead of buying 100 shares, maybe you buy 10 shares, right, or 15 shares. So if it keeps going lower, you're not going to care too much. Maybe even buy 1 share, right, whatever. And then when it starts to stabilize, then maybe you put on a little more. But the thing is, it needs to take out this lower high before it changes. Okay, it needs to do that. If it can do it, which is 71.5, then you have a change in progress. Doesn't mean it's going into a bullish trend, but you may get a consolidation where that can eventually transition into something more bullish. But that's what I'd be watching for on something like that. If it keeps pushing lows, I wouldn't keep putting more and more on. That's for sure. Okay, so thanks for mentioning that. Let me jump over to the other chat here. Okay, so I meant 20-year bull market for, so SBA. All right, so going back to what you asked me before about that was the 20-year bull market on NASDAQ. Look, on Bitcoin, it's the same situation, right? They're comparing and they're saying, oh, Bitcoin 20-year, blah, blah, blah. Is Bitcoin in a bull market now? Yeah, Bitcoin has actually been in a bull market its entire existence. If you go back, I mean, look, let's go back again. Let's go back to the weekly using John's technique there. Let's go back to, let's just zoom back here, right? Look at back in 2012 or 2014, right? Look at that on the chart. You can see that the initial wave, right, which peaked in 2017, 2018, that was a 20K area, right? That got everyone all excited. And you could see it consolidated for 2 years, right, before we got this move where we are in now. So can we argue that, this is a bull market? Oh, yeah. Now, again, this is what bothers me, is why wasn't this guy calling it a bull market here when it looked like that, right? Because a lot of people will be saying that it's a bear market. And something, an interesting fun fact, back in 2018, 2019, I was doing a seminar, and this is what the Bitcoin looked like at the time. It looked like something like this. And I put the chart up on the screen and I said, Bitcoin is still in a bull market, and here's why. And this is what I pointed out, okay? I said it's because it's a broad higher low on the weekly chart. So anyway, but it's not like it went, that was the bottom. It spent another couple of years there in consolidation before it broke out. So is this the beginning of a 20-year bull market? It's not the beginning, definitely not. It needs to pull back because these are highs. So I would not pay any attention. Look, there's all kinds of opinions out there and all kinds of stuff. You need to be able to make your own decisions, your own assessments, and do your own evaluations. Stop listening to these people, okay? Don't even listen to me. I've been doing this a long time, so I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm talking about, and I don't need anyone. No one tells me what to think, okay? Like sometimes, like someone will say to me, oh, this expert came out, and he's a respected expert, and he's on this TV show, and he's on that TV, and he said this. And it's like, I don't care what he said, because not everyone is right, number one. The market's going to do what it's going to do. So the only thing that tells me what to do is the market. If the market says this, I listen, because that's reality, right? So that's what I think about the 20-year bull market in Bitcoin. Will Bitcoin be higher a year from now? It's likely, because there's nothing bearish at the moment. But when my outlook will change, at least to neutral, is it's got to start taking out supports. Okay, if it starts taking out major supports, 50K, we take out 50K, we take out 40K, then we're probably going to be in a broader consolidation, not necessarily a bear market, right? So we could see that over a 10-year period before it goes for its next big leg, right? Which can take this thing to 100K, 200K. I mean, people are saying it's going to be $1 million, right? I mean, all those things are possible, but, I would wait. If you want to find like a good opportunity and you want to get good prices, these are not good long-term prices. Okay, I'm sorry, they're just not. So the way to play something like this, if you're really into that long-term stuff, the way to play this is you can average into it, but you start very small at these levels, because we can argue one thing, no matter how you want to look at this. We can argue that Bitcoin right now is not at a bottom at all. This is not what a bottom looks like. Very clearly, I think we can all agree on that. So you want to buy highs, you buy small. Maybe you buy, maybe your target is to own a half a Bitcoin, or maybe a full Bitcoin, okay? But so what do? You buy like 1/16th, or you buy, 1/32nd up here, tiny amount, so that, when it pulls back, you're not taking much pain. What people do is they get too big too fast, and then Bitcoin starts pushing levels that no one ever thought were possible. Like Bitcoin's pushing 25K. No one's calling for 25K right now. And I'm not either, because nothing in the chart says that. We're not even breaking supports. But what if out of nowhere, some news comes out, blah, 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 and it's pushing 25K, right? And something like that would take a few months to play out anyway. But let's say we're doing that. Now people got too big, too fast, and now they're all getting margined out, or they're getting wiped out because it went a lot lower than they thought. We saw this back when Bitcoin went from 20K to 3K. Okay, a lot of people were getting long at 10K and 8K because it's pulled back 50%. I mean, yeah, that's the place to buy it, and they all banged it out at 3K. I know a few people that have done that and what were the experts calling for? Especially the people on there were a lot of TradingView calls. Bitcoin going to 1500. Okay, they were saying it never went to 1500. So just something to keep in mind there. I spend a lot of time answering that question, because that's a very, very important question as far as long-term perspective. All right, so, okay, good question there. Let me just jump through. So Bitcoin. So Jason, go back to the very beginning. With TradingView, you can't rewind. You can't like go back. So when I stop the stream, you can go back. I went over Bitcoin first. Super USDT. All right, let's take a look. Super. I'm going to be wrapping this up here momentarily, but I appreciate all your questions. I'm trying to get through as many as I can, and I really appreciate your patience. So here's this. I'm not familiar with this one. Very interesting. So thank you for bringing this one up. There's not much price history here. This is on Binance, and all right. So right off the bat, what am I looking for? Well, there's no trend here. I can't judge this from a trend perspective. So I have to look at levels, right? We have a support over here, and we have a resistance right there, right? That's one resistance, and we have another one over here. So that's all I can see right now on something like this. We also have this bearish pin bar, which is not good if you just bought it, right? Because that's a sell signal. The sell signal is in play. It took out the low of the pin bar at 286. So at this point, I would be looking for a test of the low, because we don't have much information, right? I'd be looking for a test of the low, which is $2.10. That would be an area of interest where you may see a reversal, and I'd prefer to see the reversal. Look at this chart, has a nice example of one. Look at this bullish pin bar, right? The candle is red, but that doesn't matter. The color doesn't matter. Look at the tail. So that's what I want to see occur there again. Or maybe it occurs slightly lower. That's fine too. That's where I'd be looking. If you're interested in the long, that's where I'd be looking. Okay, otherwise I wouldn't go near it. All right, so that's that one. Thank you for bringing that one up. Okay, analyze the NASDAQ 100. Money Making says. All right, NASDAQ 100. You know I always look at that. Now, actually, Money Making, I looked at that earlier. You can go back to the stream as well. But, you know, you mentioned it. And again, I mean, I do want to make a point here real quick. This thing is nearing these highs. You're going to see a lot of celebration here. You know, the mainstream news, NASDAQ pushing all-time highs again and blah, 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 blah. But you're buying in a vulnerable area. So this is why I've been telling people, not a good place for long-term ideas, not a good place even for swing trades. Now, the market may grind higher. It may go into this zone up in here, okay, which would be all new time highs. And it's going to lure a lot of people in. I'm waiting for a sell signal so I can open up a short position on like SQQQ, you know, buying calls on SQQQ or something like that. That's what I want to do, but I'm not going to do it right now. This candle situation could lead to a grind higher, so it's too early and there's no sell signal there. The only thing that I like is the level for a short, but that's it. Okay, I'm not going to short in front of the level because I've tried that. We've had a couple of shorts that stopped out. And I'm not going to just keep stepping in front of it, right? So I want to see some confirmation. That's how I'm thinking on this thing, which also means I'm going to be extremely selective and extremely careful with stocks, especially NASDAQ stocks, because this is in a vulnerable position. If this thing pulls back, if it gives half of this move back, we start pushing back to here, you're going to see a lot of suffering in the stock department. Okay, so that's why I'm very cautious with the stocks. All right, so thanks for bringing that up. All right, let me jump over to the chat. I see some. So DJ, I didn't fully answer your question here. VMW. So you're asking about VMW. Hold on, let me go back to DJ here. Want to buy some puts. It's pricey, but I really want to give. Okay, VMW. DJ wants to buy puts on VMW. Is that VMware? Okay, so DJ wants to buy puts. Let's think about that here for a minute. Okay, I like. This is a nice example of a range bound stock. It's been range bound for a long time, and you're at the top of the range. Okay, the recent price action has been somewhat bullish. Series of higher lows and higher highs, taking you to the top of the range. I know we've talked about this one before, and obviously it didn't really make much progress. I don't remember how long ago that was, DJ, but right now, I mean, you have the bearish pin bar, takes out that low off of a range high. Look, the buying a put idea is not a bad idea, okay? You're not buying it you're not buying those puts or basically looking for this thing to pull back. The level makes sense. The reward risk makes sense. I mean, look at the high of this thing, 156.5. So if you buy those puts, DJ, and this thing starts pushing like 160, 165, you probably should get out of the puts and take the loss. So you're going to look at your risk from there. Of course, with the puts, you know, your risk is limited to the premium that you pay, which isn't bad. They're going to be a little expensive, though, I know, because this thing is a higher price stock. Your first point, your potential, right, is around 148.21. So, I mean, depending on what you can get those puts for, I would definitely buy some time on that, though. You're going to have to buy some time. But this thing has potential, especially in light of the market. Now, this is a great one that's lining up with the vulnerability of the market. I like that. Because if the S&P and NASDAQ pulls back, this thing is in a great position to pull back. So you do have all those compelling reasons. So I like the idea, DJ. Definitely like it. Okay, so a couple more minutes and then I'm going to have to wrap this up. I'm sorry if I didn't answer your question. Again, join me for another stream. I try to stream multiple times a week. Just, you know, come back to the channel. On TradingView, I'm trying to do this every Monday. All right, so Adrian, let me see what Adrian says here. You give great training, and if you need to have need to have many viewers. Okay, thank you, DJ. Teaching for 2+ years with 1 hour videos and no views. Yeah, well, DJ, you know that's how it goes. I mean, when the market, right, right. DJ says we are prepared when the market pulls back, because I mean that all comes from, you know, our perspective and our philosophy. That's the time when, right, right. It's exactly right. And when things are slow, we're not forcing trades. Kavi, what time does a daily candle close for Bitcoin? All right, Kavi, that's a good question. It kind of depends on the time zone you're in, right? It's going to be, might be different, but like for me, I believe it's 8 p.m. Eastern time. The candle closes. It's either 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. It changes, but I believe right now it's 7 p.m. Eastern time. I know because with the daylight savings time, I get confused sometimes, but it's around that time, and the new candle starts. Okay, so good question. You just have to check, for your time zone, and sometimes charting platforms have a slightly different close, but TradingView should be pretty consistent if you're using TradingView. So okay, Nintendo. Okay, Nintendo. The game. This is Nintendo. All right, Jay's asking. It's an OTC stock. Interesting. Nintendo. So broader trend bullish. Okay, we have a support area right here. It's 70. What is that? $71. Man, Nintendo is an over-the-counter stock, and it's $71. All right, or in the 70s. You have support around here in those low 60, like 68 area, low 70 area. That's where your support is. You're in this little range right now, so I would hold off right now on something like this. I'd prefer the range low. You do have the trend working in your favor, okay? It's just you're in the middle here, so you're dealing with that 50-50 situation. But you do have some potential, at least, if it tests the high again, right? And that's where you'd measure your potential, your initial reward from would be there, 79.67, right? And this thing closed at 74. Right now, the risk is a little high to justify that, right? If you buy this thing at 74, whatever, 74.14, you're banging this thing out at 68 or 67-ish, right? You're looking at about maybe 5 or 6 points to hopefully make that, right? 1-to-1. And you have to be hopeful because, again, it's asking for a lot for this thing to make that new high, right? I prefer to get out earlier than that because everyone's putting their sell orders in earlier. So that's why that reward risk is not as attractive. So thank you for asking that. DJ says 5 p.m. CST when it closes. Right, okay, thank you, DJ, for CST time. Brian, Tilray. So Tilray, we got stopped out of this one. You could see the trade here. This was a trade of the week. Got stopped out, right? Stop loss 18. Very important to respect those stop losses. And here's why. You may get banged out at the bottom, but let me tell you, like something like F-Cell, for example, there was a trade in that, right? We lost a couple of dollars. If you had stayed in the trade, you would have lost like $15 or $20. I'd rather lose a couple of dollars, not 15 or 20, right? So it's very important to respect the stop losses. Tilray broke that, and right now, right, this is a great location. I like the location. CGC is in a similar situation. Look at CGC, right? You could say, I think this is a nice example of the stop loss. 37.50. Actually, I don't think this trade ever became active. It never went to the buy stop. But if it had, nice, good thing to get out at 37.50, right? This thing is now at 27.63. It's another $10. Anyway, I've had a position in CGC for some time. What a pain this stock is. But I wouldn't get out of this thing now. I mean, if you are in a swing trade, you respect the stop loss. If it's a longer term trade, which in my case it is, I'm not going to get out of this for a longer term trade. This thing is likely to reverse in this area here. Would I add to this? No, I wouldn't add to this either because this thing could just keep going, right? And I know how these stocks go. So I would just hold off on these right now. Great location. Wait for reversal if you want to get involved with the cannabis sector. All right. So thanks for asking. Let me just check out the other chat. Okay, I'm going to wrap this up here in a minute. Let me just see if I can answer anything real quick. Great comment on listening to what the market says versus right. Well, that's very true, right? The market doesn't lie. People lie, right? The market doesn't lie. So let me see what we have here. Algo. All right. So here's what I'll do. I'm gonna check out Algo, and I'm gonna check out one more from the other chat here. Let me see here. So I got Algo and Matic. Okay, Algo and Matic. That's what I'm gonna check out. So let's start with Algo. Algo USDT. All right. So here's the situation, right? And this is a great example of one that looked great. Looks like it was going to go to the moon. Looks like you're going to become next millionaire by buying algo, and then it does this, right? Okay, fine. We got that. Now, it's trying to break out of the consolidation, but here's the thing. It's still in the consolidation. So this little breakout attempt right here, right? You have this little mini consolidation, breakout attempt. Okay, that's nice, except when it's followed by a candle that looks like that, all right? This is a great example of you want to be aggressive, you want to buy the breakout, okay, you get something that follows it like this, you need to do something, right? Either reduce your risk, take a small loss, cut your position in half, do something, because this is not what momentum looks like. This is not follow through. Something that follows through does not produce a candle that looks like that, right? If it takes out this candle low of $1.42, it's probably going to go back into the middle of the range, right? And I'm talking about this middle over here. So I don't like this thing right here at these prices. If I was going to get involved in something like this, I want to see a range low. I want to see it around this area in this zone right here, all right, which is what? Around the 110 to 120 area, something like that. It's a wide range, but if I'm going to get involved, that's where I want to see it. Okay, not here. So I hope that answers your question. I certainly wouldn't be chasing it at these levels. So that's Algo or Algorand, and now let me jump over to Matic, or was it Matic someone asked for? Matic. Did I go over Matic? Let me see, hold on. I'll know in 1 second. Matic USD, or maybe I was just imagining that I went over Matic. All right, so here's Matic, and this is a nice example of basically a triangle consolidation. Most consolidations can fit into a triangle. Recent bullish trend, we're consolidating. So this is a nice potential breakout candidate, all right? Just like we saw with XRP. Like, I'm not gonna hate on these coins and say, oh, they suck because blah, blah, blah. You know, I have to respect the fact that it's in a bullish trend and it's made this broad higher low, all right? It's in a consolidation right now. So what do? Well, I wouldn't buy this thing at the moment. This is a 50-50 area. You have a red candle. It can go either way from there. So the attractive places, and again, I speak from a swing trade perspective. I'm not talking about investing here. I just want to be clear. You want to look at the range lows, right? Which puts you at around 29 cents, high 20s, something like that. That's the most attractive area to consider a swing trade, okay? Now, if it breaks out instead, maybe it doesn't go there, and it breaks out and starts pushing these resistances, right, and starts taking out 42 cents, you could play that game like I just showed you with Algo. You could go for that breakout, but you have to be quick about it if it fails, okay? Because like I said before, these breakouts are random, right? And like people may have bought this breakout over here, and now look, they're stuck in this thing, right? So that's really what separates an experienced trader from someone who has no idea what they're doing, because they buy the breakout, right? One time it works out for them and they think, oh yeah, that's easy enough. And they don't realize that you're just playing the slot machine, all right? So very, very important distinction right there. So thank you for bringing that one up. All right, people, I'm sorry, I have to wrap this up now. You know, I tried to give a little bit more time because, you know, I started off, you know, a little bit behind schedule today. I appreciate all of your questions. Again, if I missed your question, just please, you know, just come to my next stream or whatever, and I'll answer it again, or, you know, just share it again, and I'll do my best to answer that. So again, thank you all for your great questions and your great feedback and participation. I really appreciate that. Okay, let me see. If you are on TradingView, if you look right where it's showing the price shows, okay. Oh, DJ is just pointing out some things on TradingView there that you could use to find the price, find the time that the thing closes. All right, cool. Thanks, DJ. Thanks for pointing that out. I know, Jay, I got to wrap this up. I'm sorry. All right, you know what, Jay? You know, Jay asks me some questions and stuff, and I'll do this for Jay real quick. All right, so Amazon, I don't like it, right? Amazon is a market leader. It's at the range high, okay? This is probably what's holding the NASDAQ up. One of the FANG stocks holding the NASDAQ up. Very vulnerable area. Don't like it. It could basically find resistance or double top in this area. So I would not be buying Amazon here. If you're in Amazon, hey, not a place to reduce some risk, take some profits, right? I would look at it that way, but not a good place to be putting on a new position, even if it's one share. All right, I'd look for the range lows. Amazon has clearly been range bound for quite some time. So I wouldn't get all excited about this move, that's for sure. You're going right into a resistance. Anyway, all right, so that's it. I got to wrap it up. Thank you again, everyone, for your great participation and your great questions. Please check out my article on TradingView and stuff like that. And also press the like button, or whatever you have to do in whatever channel you're in. Just give me some feedback. Let me know if you like what I'm doing or not. I always appreciate that. Okay. So again, thank you all, and I will see you the next time. Thank you very much for watching.